This is how much I've lost with Jenny Craig. 34 kilos of pizza. Now I've lost the weight, I feel dangerous, seriously. I've got so much energy to do anything I want. Guys, put the pizza down, pick up the phone and call Jenny.
Definitely, it's a big game. The winner of this game probably sits on top of the ladder on Saturday night. So it's a massive game for both clubs, and we want to rebound from last week after a disappointing loss.
How's the sort of week been? Was there a few sort of home truths spoken about after that game from the weekend, or you moved on?
Yeah, we moved on pretty quickly. Our boys have been very good most of the year, and they were disappointing. We were disappointing as a group on Saturday night, but. I think we'll leave that game in isolation, learn what we need to learn out of it, and we didn't do some things we wanted to do, and one of those was convert when we could have converted, but moved on pretty quickly into the Sydney game.
You're pretty confident it's just an aberration?
Certainly hope so, Julian. But you got to be confident in that way, and the way the boys have played all year, it was different to the way we've played most of our games.
Just about that second half against Richmond, maybe the game against GWS last week, you just feel the boys have fallen away a little bit the last 3 weeks compared to what you were producing before then?
A little bit, but not. You have ebbs and flows in seasons where you're up at some times, you have flat spots in seasons, and maybe that had part to do with it. But the boys are under no illusions how hard this game will be against Sydney. The pressure Sydney brings, the type of game Sydney plays, and I think it's a perfect game to test yourself and test whether your competitive instincts and your ability to win your contested ball is back right on track. Because if it's not, you'll be in a lot of trouble against the Sydney Swans. It's not bad. It's just behind his knee. He'll play. He'll miss obviously this week the bye, and he'll probably be right for the Fremantle game. So it's nothing too bad.
Same injury you had a couple of weeks ago.
Pretty much, yeah.
And Travis Colley's probably a little bit unlucky coming in outside of him. What was the reason for?
We just think we need a bigger body around at Etihad. I think that there'll be a more contested game. Dave Myers brings us that bigger body. And Dave's a very important player on our side too, and we're very keen to get him back into the team. Hasn't played since round 2, I think, against Port Adelaide. So he's a guy that we want on our side going forward, and that was probably the main reason for that selection.
Just on Tate, sort of the injuries he's had, is it sort of affecting his confidence out of the field?
Maybe a little bit. You got to remember where Tate has come from. He had very serious injuries 2010 before we got here. Missed a lot of last year, and his body's adapting to the workload, and that'll take a little bit of time. And he's just now really getting back into full training after from 2 years ago. So we're very confident that everything will come back to normal, and he'll get little injuries on the way that we've just got to be careful we don't make major injuries by overstressing his body.
Leroy, are you confident after a couple of players that had a word to him that sort of staging will go out of his game pretty quickly?
Yeah, look, no one likes to see staging. I think Leroy was pretty stiff with what happened. Certainly last week, I know he got the finger pointed at him, but if you go out and look at the incident, what happened after that incident, the player who did it to him was pretty lucky that there wasn't a report later on in the game. So Leroy understands he's got to go and get the ball, and he has done all year. And I think he's been unfairly targeted, particularly last week.
Did you have a word to him personally? We know Angus sort of chat to him.
We've had a word about the way we want him to play all over the game. One of those is be strong at the ball, and if you get a free kick, you get a free kick.
So something happened after that incident?
I'll leave it. Let it go there.
David wasn't known in the VFL?
No, David in the VFL game last week slightly hurt his neck. Nothing serious. He'll miss a week through that neck and shoulder region. Had a very heavy collision. It was just decided not to put him in a position where that might get worse. So he'll play next week, definitely.
You're going to use him as a pretty important player in the second half of the year?
We think that David's going to play a huge role in our back half of the year. Tom and Paddy have been excellent so far this year, but there's going to be a point where David will need to play some games, and the three of them will need to combine to play some really good football for us to be successful this year. So we're itching to get David into the team. We're just waiting for the right time, and for him to be fully fit.
You get asked that, Scotty, Do you think that maybe after the bye, maybe 2 more AFL games, you'll almost be ready?
Yeah, well, he's played 2 games now. He's got 2 more games before our next senior game, against Fremantle. So that'll be 4 games, and we can't wait for him to be fully fit, playing out full games. I think he played 3.5 quarters on the weekend, so he's not far away. But we want Scott to be ready as soon as we can, but we also don't want to put too much pressure on him, on his body. Let's take our time to get him right, so that whether it's the last 6 or 7 games of the year, he's ready to go. Whether it's the last 8 games of the year, we just hope, we know we'll get some AFL football out of him in the back half of the year, and that's really exciting.
You've been up and down most of the year. The spirit levels been the same this week, win or loss?
The spirit levels were better than they've been all year. Yeah, the boys have been fantastic. They were very disappointed Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday they came in for some extra work off their own back. It was a day off for them, but they decided they want to come in and do some extra work. And Wednesday's training was fantastic. So we're confident that spirit level is where it needs to be. Does that lead to a win? I'm not sure, but definitely the enthusiasm around the place is excellent.
It's real. The group sort of fell away this time last year. You're confident with an extra pre-season, a bit more maturity, that might be the case this time?
Yeah, as confident as I can be. Last year, when we did lose those games, there was no Watson, Hocking, Hurley in our team, and there was a couple of other significant injuries as well. I think David Myers wasn't playing at the time, so Carl Hooker wasn't playing at the time. So we have a fit list at the moment. So there should be no excuses for poor performance, because we're very confident we've got a really good team out in the park. Which this time last year we had a lot of injuries, so we don't have that at the moment.
Will this week's game in particular tell you a lot about the group, how they bounce back? What was very disappointing?
Look, this week is a really important week for us, and it's important for a number of reasons. But one of them is we're playing a team that is a very good team. We want to beat good teams. We want to play well against good teams. They're a rival in terms of where they are on the ladder, and how much position you give a rival team. So it's a big game for us. But it's also one game too. So we put a lot of emphasis on the game, and we want to play well, and we'll see what happens after that.
Is Holmes a better attacking team this year than they have been in the past? Last week that was so close and pretty tough.
Certainly in the last few weeks, I think their ball movement's been a little bit different to other weeks. They certainly try and move the ball through different parts of the ground. That's what we've noticed on the videotape, that they're not just going as conservatively as maybe they have in the past. They're more adventurous with their ball movement, and that's harder to defend against. So they're a little bit different to what perhaps they were last year. But the crux of their game is their contested ball, and you have to at least match them in that area.
Do you see them as being on the same level as your side, that opposition side, quite similarly even?
Sorry?
Do you see this one as being quite even?
Yeah, I think, the contests over the last 18 months would say that. In Sydney, we lost by less than a kick. The game last year at Etihad, we won by less than a kick. Even the pre-season game, which was a really good game, I think NAB 3, we won by less than a kick. So the sides seem relatively closely matched, and we understand how good they are in certain areas of the game, and we try and be as good as them in those areas as well.
Next week, we're playing
No, we're going to train. That's what we're going to do. We're going to train Saturday morning. We're going to train Friday. We're going to give the guys, 3 or 4 days off. The guys that played most of the season will get 3 or 4 days off after the game, and then get ready for Fremantle. I think that get the guys out of here and then start training late next week for the Fremantle game.